Well, you guys ask me all the time about ways that you can disciple your young children, and I want to tell you about something I found that I think you're going to love. I am always searching for curriculum that's theologically solid, rich in apologetics, and wait for it, easy to use. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about the Answers Bible curriculum for homeschool from my friends at Answers in Genesis. This amazing program covers the entire Bible in just 4 years, and it was created specifically for kindergartners through fifth graders to be taught at the same time, which is going to save you time and simplify your day. You guys are going to get quality that you expect from AIG, and it's deep, fun, packed with truth, and designed to equip your kids to defend the faith. If you're ready to try it, head on over to answersbiblecurriculum.com/Heidi and download a free lesson to get started. That's answersbiblecurriculum.com/Heidi. Hey, everybody, this is Heidi St. John. Welcome to the Heidi St. John podcast. You guys are in for a treat today because my friend, activist, and author and actress Sam Sorbo is in the studio with me, and we are going to dish about education and what in the world is going on in the United States with the Department of Education being closed. So many things to talk about. This is such a great opportunity for you. I hope you'll sit back and get a cup of coffee and enjoy as my friend Sam Sorbo and I have a hoot and holler and good time for this next episode of the Heidi St. John podcast. I want to say a shout out to the Functional Medical Institute for sponsoring the podcast. You guys can reach out to them by going to homeschoolhealth.com. Homeschoolhealth.com. Listen, I love these guys. I've worked with them for years. If you want to feel better and you want to feel good about who is helping you feel better, Doctors Mark and Michelle Sherwood are the people that you need to see first. Check them out at homeschoolhealth.com. I'm glad you guys are here. Settle in and stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. Shout out to our sponsor, the Functional Medical Institute. I love those guys. Check them out at homeschoolhealth.com and be sure and use the coupon code Heidi for 20% off your entire purchase. Well, thank you guys for listening today. Lots of things happening in my life right now, but one of the big ones is that this is the middle of my speaking season. I'm going to be headed next to Sturbridge, Massachusetts for the Mass Hope Convention. I'll be there April 24th through 26th. My speaking season is actually really full this year, and it's my favorite thing to do. I love being out on the road. Come out and say hello. If you want to find out where I'll be, just hop on over to HeidiSt.John.com/events. If you've got a question or a response from the shows as they come in, I love to address those at Mailbox Monday, and you can submit something by going to HeidiSt.John.com/Mailbox Monday. All right. It's not very often that I get real live fire-breathing dragons in the studio with me, and I have one here today. You're going to get to see her in the wild. This is my friend Sam Sorbo. Sam, welcome.
I'm not in the wild. I'm in the studio.
Well, it's kind of in the wild. You are in the Pacific Northwest. I mean,
yeah, fair enough.
You're kind of in the wild. I love your passion. I love you. You and I don't even know how long we've been friends. Seems like for a long time now.
Yeah. And it's funny because people say to me, or I say to people, my kids are so opinionated, and they're like, I wonder where they get that from, Sam.
Where does that come from? Listen, it turns out your kids are going to be an awful lot like you.
Yes, it turns out that way.
Yeah, it turns out.
I kind of designed it that way.
Yeah.
It's no fun if they're not.
No, it's really not.
But they're feisty.
Well, they're feisty and you're feisty and Kevin is feisty.
Yes,
I mean, it turns out you guys have kind of a variation on a theme going on with your kids.
I said to him ages ago, after we moved back to Hollywood, and he was so outspoken. And I said to him, you're going to forfeit your career. Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to hurt you. Mm-hmm. And he said, I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out he kind of cares. Because he, in a sense, he'd love to win an Oscar, not the Oscars of today, but he would love to
when the Oscars were actually worth something.
Right. And so there's that. And and he is a very fine actor. And so I think that Hollywood lost somebody when they decided that he was too conservative.
They didn't always used to be political. I mean, it feels like there's
they used to be conservative.
Well, there's always been political elements to Hollywood,
yes.
But I don't feel like it's been in your face as like, I mean, we could talk about Snow White. And,
but why?
I mean,
the theaters are empty.
It's great.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it.
So let me put it this way. We used to be on the same page as a nation. Mm-hmm. I mean, one of our founding values was life, preservation of life. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then the left moved in basically after World War II, generally speaking. The left moved in and it took over the Democrat Party slowly but surely. And so now their value, their highest value, is death.
It's true.
And you can't reconcile those two things. And so it's political.
And it's not just physical death like abortion, it's the death of innocence.
Yes.
Through what they're pushing to our children.
It's the death of the soul.
It's the soul death. It's stealing from women what is rightfully theirs in growing up female.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's a death of so many things.
And the theft of the male.
Absolutely
right?
true.
By feminizing the man, which is what our schools are intent.
100%.
And we didn't realize it ages ago. We didn't realize, but I will give you a great example. So in the 50s, we had a campaign, Duck and Cover. Do you recall? And there was a turtle. And the turtle was, if he hid in his shell, he was safe. Okay. And so they sent this video out. And in the video, they showed children ducking and covering. And so you were in school in case of a nuclear attack, hide under your desk.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. Nobody in their right mind ever believed that if children hid under their desks, they would be safe from a nuclear attack.
Fallout, sure.
So then you have to take and we're not taught to do this, but you must take the next step and say, well, then why were they being taught? This was a campaign. It went all the way through the schools. Kids, older people, remember being trained this way. Why? That's training in cowardice. Training, don't stand up and fight. That's the training. And that's what our schools have been doing since before then.
True.
Right? But I love that example because it's so clear. Nobody in their right minds thought that this was clever. They just wanted to train the children to be cowards.
Yep. And it worked.
And it worked because here we are, and the takeover of the culture is nearly complete. But the good news is we're bifurcating.
Yes.
We're actually dividing into two paths. And one path is Christian or quasi-Christian or sort of semi-Christian.
That holds at least to the Judeo-Christian tenets that made the nation what it was, not
sort
necessarily
of,
what it
right?
is.
Maybe like that one, and then the other path, which is the path of destruction.
Yeah.
The path of sin, the path of self-sacrifice.
Well, it's moral relativism. It's, we've decided that truth is subjective, and you can have your truth and I can have my truth.
It's the truth and it's a lie.
That's right. Yeah. And if there's no such thing as truth, if you can't say what a woman is, right? I mean, come on. It's amazing to me the times in which we live that we're having even have these discussions. We're having to talk about what is a woman. My favorite part of that movie was when Matt Walsh went to Africa. And he was just like, right? Remember that?
Yeah, the African tribe. Yeah, the tribe. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? That's silly.
Yeah, and they start laughing at him.
Yes, of course.
They can't believe that he's no, I'm serious. Where I come from, I'm like, listen, don't include me in that, right? Because there's a lot of us that still know what a woman is. But the fact is we've relegated conversations that we should have been having to the corners of society, and we've ushered in this absurdity that has now become normal life in the United States. And
absolutely,
and we saw it rear its ugly head absolutely in COVID. I mean, you and I were both just like,
well, COVID was a psyops, right?
100%.
And so get ready, because that was just the test phase.
Yeah.
And
you think they'll try it again?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, but it won't be COVID. It won't be West Nile virus or whatever. It won't be Ebola. I mean, they tried it during Ebola. I don't know if you remember.
I do.
And I was on air and I was scared. I literally was like, and I remember because at the time they had an Ebola patient that they had flown to the United States and were transporting by ambulance. And I was commenting on it going, they're transporting this in broad daylight by ambulance. They must not be that scared. But I didn't quite ask that second question of why are they actually just doing this and bringing it to the United States? Why would they bring this dreaded disease to the United States? And it's because it's not that dead. It's not that deadly. It's not that bad. It's just.
What do you make of all the freak out about measles right now?
Yeah, that's all engineered. Yeah. And now that we know that the media is captured, I can actually say it's engineered. It's not even that people are freaked out. It's that they're manufacturing people to be freaked out. It's AI. It's and so now we
used to have measles parties. Do you remember like the Brady Bunch? And they were talking about how you get the measles.
Oh, you saw that video? They did the juxtaposition.
Well, and we grew up that way. Nobody was afraid of the measles. No one was. You know, we all had chicken pox. I got the chicken pox like twice. The first time wasn't too bad, and the second time, your girl had pox everywhere. And I remember it. My mom put me the oatmeal baths and all that thing. But nobody thought we were going to die. It was just like, well, this is kind of a rite of passage, and now your body has been exposed to it, and you've developed antibodies to it, and now we're done.
You've talked in the past about how we have been trained for comfort, and we take the path of least resistance, and we've been trained by the pharmaceutical industry and the medical community that is benefiting from the pharmaceutical industry that there's a pill for everything.
Yep.
And you don't need to feel pain, and you don't need to feel discomfort and whatever. And what I love, my son is on the forefront of, young men taking back the culture kind of thing. And his message is, if you don't go to a gym and work out and you're not strong, you can't have an opinion. Because if you are not capable of defending your opinion, you don't have one.
Right.
You're just pretending. And I love that. He takes it to the next step, and that's what we need to be doing. And we've been trained not to. We've been trained not to question and not to basically not to think, not to ask questions, not to try things because of this dumbing down that we've gone through our schools.
Yeah.
And the cowardice that has been trained into us.
Yeah.
And he's so right. If you don't have the fortitude to defend an opinion, you don't have the luxury of having an opinion.
Right. And we've certainly, we see that every day, right? The screaming leftists. I was thinking, I wondered what your thought was as I was listening to you a few minutes ago about all of these crybaby leftists who are running their vehicles into Teslas and, putting, a chewed or used chewing gum on cars. It's like they don't realize that they're being recorded.
There's a video of a guy reaching his hand into the back of his trousers.
I saw that!
To smear the contents therein, which is weird because then you go, he literally sat down to drive home later. Like that's just disgusting.
Well, it's mental illness.
It is.
That's just mental illness. But our country's captured by mental illness.
What's great about it is it shows the hypocrisy of the left because Elon Musk was the darling of the left for creating the electric car. And now they hate the electric car. And they're not advocating for you to get a different electric car. They're just hating on this one electric car because it represents him.
Right.
And
now they realize that
it,
Trump is like Teflon Trump. They can't do anything, so they're going after the next best target.
And they want Seth?
And they want to run him out of leadership.
Yep.
It's amazing to me
because he's dangerous.
Yes. Why in the world? It's shocking to me that up until about 5 minutes ago, we all agreed nobody wants waste, fraud, and abuse of our tax dollars. This is our money. We should want it spent well. And all of a sudden, the Democrats are screeching and yelling because they don't want it uncovered. It's amazing.
It's not suddenly. It's only suddenly because it's being uncovered.
Right.
Right. They were all about taking taxpayer money, clearly, or they wouldn't be upset about it. But they believe that your money doesn't belong to you.
That's right.
It belongs to them.
That's right.
And they trained us to think that our money belongs to them. But we have enough freedom still to go, wait a minute. I'm supposed to benefit from the fruits of my labor. And the government is like ancillary to that.
Right.
Like if I benefit from the fruits of my labor, some of it goes to the government because they did provide the roads and they did provide the safety. And I live in the greatest nation in the world, so I'll throw them a bone, but not 50% of my salary or whatever.
Yeah.
And they don't get to just go spend it willy-nilly.
Right.
On their own pet projects. That's not allowed.
And these lavish vacations and we're starting to see.
Government should be in service.
It's awful.
The amount of fraud during COVID, that was such a grift. COVID was such a grift. And so I was just reading because I'm obviously very invested in education, or what I call schooling, and the lack thereof, right?
Yes.
The schools are now spending COVID funds for a new baseball field or football AstroTurf or vacations to Caesar's Palace. The COVID funds went for that because here's the difference. If the government gives you money, and we can go into school choice if you want, when the government gives you money, you don't have to be responsible with those funds. So the government literally trains its citizens to be irresponsible so that they are more dependent.
And that's what we are. We're
The founding
living,
fathers would never have supported a federal school system.
No, and the founding fathers, I mean, if they could see what was happening they wouldn't recognize the country that they worked so hard to build.
Yes.
They really did give us the greatest nation on the face of the earth. These guys were brilliant. Many of them, they're in their early 20s. They were very young. Most of them homeschooled.
They were radicals.
Radicals, and they worked hard. These are people that genuinely believed you give up your time, your talent, and your treasure.
And they sacrificed.
And they did.
Most of them sacrificed everything
They
for
really
this
did.
nation.
Yep. And that's why I keep telling people, you know what? Run for office. They gave us the greatest nation on the face of the earth. They said, Ben Franklin, guys, you're going to help me. I'm going to do like some sort of a campaign to get Sam Sorbo to run for office. I think you'd be straight fire. And honestly, I feel like everybody should take a turn. Like, we're a nation at war, and we're at war with an ideology, and we can all sit back and go, we can be, talking heads. I'm trying to get people to put their money where their mouth is. Get out there and say, you know what, we're gonna be willing to take one for the team.
And unfortunately, you have a platform to do that from, because you ran for office, so we can't impeach you and say, well, you do it then.
Even in that, I learned so much from it. I met extraordinary people when I was running for office. I got to travel, Congressional District 3, and it's a big district here. And I mean, it was difficult. I was spit at. People called me names. I watched as newspapers printed patently false articles about me.
Spit at you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
On the corner, at a corner in Battleground at one point. Yeah, upset because of my stance on COVID.
Whoa, yeah.
But I'll tell you, I love this country, and I know that you do.
Yeah.
And I love Washington State, and I love where I live. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. The left is ruining it. Mm-hmm. And that will continue until people of conscience go, this is a time of war. That's how we got our country, right? These young men who were like, this is a time of war. And would I rather be comfortable and rather take a vacation? Well, we could arrange that.
You should talk to
Kevin.
him.
Yeah. I think, well, and honestly, talking to my husband, this was not an easy decision when I ran for office the first time. It was very difficult.
Isn't it funny, the difficult decisions? Like, what the right decision is, but you just drag your feet to it.
Yeah, you do.
Because you don't want it.
Well, and I said to Jay, because we've had, lots of conversations about that run and potentially future runs. People are asking me to run again. And this is why it's so important. President Trump needs every seat that he can get in Congress.
Oh my gosh.
He cannot afford to lose a single seat. Right. The Democrats are doing everything they can to make sure that he's a lame duck in the last 2 years of his presidency, which is why he's moving at warp speed right now to get as much done as he can, because he recognizes if he loses either the House or the Senate, he won't be able to finish his agenda. It maybe matters more now than it did 2 years ago that he has good, capable, conservative-minded, constitutional Republicans running for office, because those seats mean something for the future of this country. Yeah. And you have an opportunity to pass these executive orders, to make them into legislation and pass them into law.
Right.
And that is the responsibility.
And that's what you need. You can't just rely on the executive order.
No.
You need to pass it into legislation and make it a law.
The executive order is a stopgap.
Yes.
That's why he's doing what he's doing.
Right.
He's setting the agenda.
Right.
He's saying, this is what needs to happen.
Right.
This is the mandate that was given to me by the American people. We've recognized now, because we had Presidentish Joe Biden in the office, right? It was literally 4 years of a weekend at Bernie's. This guy who has done more to injure the country, shockingly, than Barack Obama. Barack Obama, who was a disaster.
Who saw that coming?
I want to take a moment to say thank you to our sponsor today. Today's show is being sponsored in part by my friends at Give, Send, Go. And it's a pretty amazing partnership, because months ago, before I received my medical diagnosis, we had been hoping to partner with this amazing company. And I had no idea that I was going to be on the receiving end of a Give, Send, Go campaign. But I can tell you, it's been an incredible blessing for me. And I love what these guys are doing. They are really crowdfunding with a gospel message and sharing the light of Christ and helping us fulfill the mandate in Galatians 6:2, where we are really commanded to bear one another's burdens, and in so doing, fulfill the law of Christ. One of the things that's awesome about Give, Send, Go is that they have a prayer team that you can join and pray for the campaigns that you see online. So even if you can't give right now, you can pray. There is power in your prayers, and I love what the Lord is doing through the platform at Give, Send, Go. Check them out at givesendgo.com.
After Carter gave us Reagan.
Yep.
So when Barack Obama was elected, I was like, Carter gave us Reagan. Carter gave us Reagan.
Yeah,
Carter gave us-
right.
And then we got Joe Biden.
Right.
And then they tried to run Kamala.
Right. I know, word salad Kamala.
It's the celebration of failure.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the celebration of the absurd. I mean, here are these people. It's like you and I were talking about. We live in a culture that has. We decided we don't like beautiful things anymore, right?
Oh, don't
so you go to the
even,
music museum in Seattle is a joke. It's so ugly and so awful. I was in the Sky Club because I live in airports this time of year. I was in a Sky Club with Melissa the other day, and we were sitting in. We must have been in Atlanta. The Atlanta airport has like 6 different Sky Clubs in it, and we were sitting. Just, grabbing something to eat real quick. And we're looking at a picture across the wall from us. And Melissa goes, I wonder how much money they paid for that. Like, I could have done that.
Right.
I could have done
Right.
that, throw a little bit. Why do we think this is beautiful? The emperor has no clothes. Most people don't think it's beautiful, but this country is controlled by elitists now who are telling us what's beautiful. Mm-hmm. They're telling us what we can do with our money. They're gaslighting you and making you think that there's no such thing as a woman. It's absurd. And unless we take the country back, and you don't take the country back without sacrifice.
Right.
It will require sacrifice.
It's true.
And every single one of us, if you love the country, do something. Stop yakking about it and do something. And there are people in this country who have the opportunity to do something. And I've been, for years and years now telling people, do something. Stop talking. A little less talk and a lot more action. That's what Trump needs. He needs that from people who love this country if he's going to be successful through the entire term.
Yeah, he needs support.
He does.
Yeah.
You got to call him the cavalry, Sam.
So there's a war on beauty.
Absolutely.
Why? Because it's affiliated with truth. There's an intrinsic value to beauty that is undeniable. Mm-hmm. Just like truth. Mm-hmm. It's absolute. Mm-hmm. And when you see something beautiful,
it takes your
it
breath
fills
away.
you. You know it. You
sunset.
recognize it immediately.
Yeah.
And we are surrounded by ugliness.
Yes.
On purpose.
Yep.
That's the Marxist way.
Mm-hmm.
All the Marxist buildings are great big black concrete boxes with little windows, little slit windows and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's like
to
Gotham.
make you feel inferior, to make you feel puny because the state is God. That's my rant.
It's right though. Well, this is communism.
Yes,
right? Just
that's
to
exactly
remove
what it is.
Remove God, we remove beauty. We make people feel that they are subservient to the state. And we see this being pushed in our schools, starting in kindergarten, right? This is
preschool.
Starting in
Right
why are
away.
we stop sending your kids to preschool?
There's an
what
airport.
An absurd thing that we're doing.
I've gone on a little bit of a tour on my Instagram where I film a video in an airport of the hideous art, just to point out people, this is hideous. There's nothing pretty about this.
No.
It's not art, but they put it up as art, right?
Yeah.
It's so
well,
stupid.
and they do it in airports to indoctrinate the masses. What
Right.
they're doing is they're gaslighting you.
That's right.
So if you don't think that's pretty, then you must not be educated, Sam. You must be stupid.
Right. There's a playhouse for children. I can't remember what airport. It might be Dallas, but I can't remember. And it's this little section that is that's for children to play in, like to keep them busy while you're at the airport. Mm-hmm. And it is the most hideous thing. The buildings, they've built these like little mini skyscraper type things, and they're slanted, they're falling down, it's like destroyed. But on purpose. It's designed this way. And I filmed it, and I'm like, this is ugly. Mm-hmm. And rest assured, you are not alone in thinking that this is ugly.
Yes.
And it needs to be said because people are followers, because they've been trained to follow in school. They've been schooled, be a follower.
Yep.
Don't
be
stand
a follower,
out.
Don't ask questions.
Right? And that's how they win.
Yeah.
That's how they win is and somehow, I don't know how they do it, but they empower the leftists. Like, I'm not sure how there's a weird thing that happens.
Think of the rise in depression. The meaninglessness of life.
Yes, nihilism.
This nihilism that we have adopted.
Oh, it's an anti-God. I mean, you can call it communism or Marxism or socialism.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all the same. Fascism, the same. It's this denial of God. Mm-hmm. And of course, that's the war on truth, beauty, and goodness.
Yeah. And we should be committed to those things.
Then we should, right. And
we
so
should be
the
committed
reverse
to 'em.
is when you commit to truth, beauty, and goodness, when you, as Jordan Peterson says, lift the heaviest rock that you can find, find your purpose, right? Then you will have meaning in your life. You can find joy. You can get off all the meds. Like you can do this if you bring meaning into your life through these three values, truth, beauty, and goodness.
Man, it's good. He's brilliant, by the way. Jordan Peterson.
He's come a long way.
He has come a long way. I've listened to him for years, actually, from when he was, back in the communist country of Canada. Boy, Canada is in trouble. It's so sad to watch. I'm just like, wow, beyond Trump saying he's going to make them the 51st state. Emerita, right? Most Canadians, I think, with a half a brain in their head, they can see that country is in trouble.
I loved what Trump did there because he set up all of these different moles. And so the left was playing whack-a-mole. You can't do this. You can't do that.
We're going to take Greenland. And it's America. Now it's the Gulf of America. And there's like, whoa.
Do you know why he renamed the Gulf of America?
For drilling,
For drilling. Because we weren't allowed to drill. Biden signed that we wouldn't drill in the Gulf of Mexico.
So Trump renamed it.
So he just renamed it. There you go.
I think it's genius.
And AP said, well, we are still calling it Gulf of Mexico. And they said, okay, you're not invited to the White House. You can't be in the press corps. And they're like, you can't do that. And he's like, well, actually.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I can.
So you want to call it Gulf of America? We can reconsider.
I told you, and I've said this on my podcast, when I started going to Florida for my speaking season, I tried to find a Gulf of America shirt and couldn't find one. So I went on Canva and designed my own.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And I was like,
nice.
I printed my own Gulf of America shirt, and I love triggering people with t-shirts. It's like one of my very favorite things to do. You can have some of the most amazing conversations in airports just by wearing a shirt. I wore my friend Lisa Bevere's shirt, The Future is Male and Female.
Oh, nice. My son made a shirt, The Future is Patriarchy.
Oh, no.
Oh, he loves to trigger people.
Oh, no.
He's got one, Repeal the 19th. Don't even get me started.
Okay, there are some things that even I won't do. But
I'd be for it.
I think it's funny. We've been told we can't have conversations in the country anymore, right? You can't have a conversation. You're mad at somebody, then you take out your keys and you key their Tesla.
Right.
Right. We don't have conversations. We lob bombs at each other over the internet. When I wear a shirt that says the future is male and female, or I wear a shirt that says, women's rights begin in the womb, or I wear a shirt that says, I love President Trump, like I heart President Trump. So funny. What I'm really doing is inviting a conversation.
No, you're inviting violence.
No.
Your T-shirts are violence.
No, violence. Violent. Listen, I think
they redefine every word.
Isn't it funny?
They redefine every word, and then we get stuck with their definitions.
Right.
Because they take precedence.
Words have power, and I think
in the beginning was the word.
Come on. I think if we could start just going back to that's why when I ran for Congress, my shirts didn't just say Heidi St. John for Congress. They said no more mandates. Like that was one of the big shirts that I had.
Oh, I had one of your shirts.
Yeah.
It was I tested positive for freedom.
Yes. See their message. It's messaging.
Yes.
And so to me, it's just I tested positive for freedom, Heidi St. John for Congress. It wasn't just Heidi St. John for Congress. Right. It was, this is why we're doing this.
These are my values.
Yeah, these are my values. And honestly, I feel like the more honest conversations we can have, this is why I'm such a fan of watching what's happening on our college campuses with conservatives and really the thought leaders of today in conservatism going to these college campuses and just inviting the students to have a conversation.
Did you see
we've lost the art of it?
The TPUSA folks at, I can't remember what college. And
they got attacked.
This tranny took a bike lock and smashed him in the head, broke the phone. So I guess the phone broke because that's a deadly weapon.
Yep.
A bike lock's it's one of those with the great big long rounded handle and then the bar across. So this is a solid piece of metal.
I hope that guy goes to prison. That's insane. That's insane. And we've noticed that the left doesn't seem to be upset. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel and all these people, they're like, it's so funny. It looks like you guys don't like Tesla. They're firebombing Teslas.
This fake woman attacks these two women.
Yeah.
Where are your women's rights?
Come on.
Feminists defending their freedom to speak their minds.
The feminists don't really care about women.
No, of course
They care
not.
about power. It's like Black Lives Matter.
They care about destruction.
That's right. Black Lives Matter doesn't care about black people.
No.
They care about power.
And
That's
mansions.
a Marxist organization. They don't care about the black unborn. They don't care about black conservatives. They don't care about black police officers. This was never about black people. And we need to learn, and you've done a really good job with this because you talk about words all the time, right? You got to learn to read between the lines, right?
There was a video I saw last night, actually. This white woman with pink hair or whatever, whatever. And she's being interviewed. I'm trying to remember who was doing the interview. And he said, so black women should have a voice? Yes, absolutely. We are for black women to have a voice, and they should use their voice. Even black women who voted for Trump. Totally stumped.
Isn't that crazy?
I don't think that's a thing. Oh yeah, no, there were black women who voted for Trump.
Lots of them.
Oh,
lots of them.
No, but those black women, they shouldn't have a voice. No, black women should have a voice, but not those ones. Like they're stupid, right? They should be educated by people like you, right? White women should educate black women. Like he just totally dove all the way in, and these women were like, there were two of them.
Because when you take it to its logical conclusion,
yes, it's all nonsense.
Yeah, it's just built on. I keep thinking of, this is probably wrong, but I keep thinking of the movie Elf when he was like, "This is all you're existing on a bed of lies."
Yes.
You're right.
It's all lies.
It's all lies.
I smell meatloaf.
That's right. 100%. And that's what it is. But these college kids have been indoctrinated. I mean, the indoctrination starts when you're very young in the United States, and it goes all the way through our public universities. And in fact, Lucas and I were talking the other day about the tragedy that's unfolded on our Christian campuses now.
Oh yeah, well,
so many of them are woke.
So I was talking to a young woman. She goes to a small Christian college. She realized that one of her favorite professors actually was atheist, and so she asked her at lunch, because they would have lunch together, like they became friends. She said, "You seem to be an atheist," and the professor says, "Oh yes, I am." And she said, "Well, why are you teaching here?" And the professor said, and I quote, "This is my mission field."
Oh my goodness!
And so Christians we have been so dumbed down by our schools. And unfortunately, I put almost every school into this category because most schools are modeled after the government factory schools. And so when you send a child into that kind of institution, they are taught, they are trained, don't think, don't ask, don't try, and don't read. Okay, those are the 4 lies that are intrinsic in the system. And they learn that well because that is schooled. It's not taught, it's schooled into them, right? It's trained into them.
That's what you're always saying. You haven't been educated, you've been schooled.
Yes. And so, so now we have a bunch of people who think that they have opinions, but they don't. They just have ideas that have been embedded in them that they've absorbed. And we're in such a dangerous time. So this is my advice for people who home educate. Don't homeschool, home educate. Have conversations with your children, meaningful conversations. Talk about renaming the Gulf of America. Have that conversation. Talk about what Trump is doing. Talk about everything, okay? Don't dumb it down for your kids. Oh, they're not interested in politics. You would be surprised. Your children will be interested in all the things. Your children want to be you. And you are the best teacher of how to be you. There's no one better to teach them how to be adults like you are. That's all they want. And so the one thing that I did that was that I can't take credit for, but it was very clever, is I started reading the Bible with my kids every morning.
Yep.
That's the one thing.
Yeah.
If you do nothing else but teach them how to read, teach them how to do a little bit of math, and read the Bible with them.
They're still ahead, way ahead.
And keep them from the distractions.
And the distraction.
Their own curiosity will drive them.
Yes.
And just keep them safe from some of the distractions that exist out there. Their own curiosity will drive them. But the one thing I did was the Bible. And the reason I say that is because the Bible is truth. When you expose your children to truth, they love it.
Yeah.
And they will not depart from it. And so that's why Proverbs says, raise up a child in the way that he should go. That literally is the Bible. It means the Bible, to me anyway. And that proverb means raise your child to be who he's meant to be. By who?
By God.
Right. Not by you. Not by the teacher. Oh, the best teacher in the school likes my kid or whatever. Not by those people. By God. And when you humbly submit to that, you're on the right track.
Yeah. And I think it's important for parents to understand, and you know people like this, Sam, and I do too. You can raise your children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. You can pour your lives into them and they can still be led astray. They can still make bad decisions. Our job as parents is not to to ensure an outcome, because you can't ensure an outcome. Our children have free will; they get to choose.
Absolutely.
I think our job is to the very best of our ability, to give our kids that drink of living water every day, to make it almost irresistible to them, so that we know that we have done everything we can to train our children in righteousness, so that we don't look back on the years that we had our children with regret, that we don't look back and go, man, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have tried. I at least wish I would have tried.
And by the way, we all have regrets.
We do.
We all goofed up. I sent my daughter to kindergarten. Well, where's the harm in that? She did a half-day kindergarten for a year, and it was the cutest little place. And the teacher was really sweet, and all the other kids were lovely. And I find out 10 years later, when she's 15, that it was in kindergarten that she learned that she was stupid. And it was a lesson she remembers actually distinctly. She was supposed to go in front of the class and read her sight words. And the little boy who went before her, he was the smartest little boy in class. I know exactly who she's talking about, because you remember who the smartest kid in class is. And he did perfect. And so she had every idea that she was going to go up and do the same thing, do perfect. And she is a little bit of a perfectionist also. And so she got in front of the class, and she was just hit with stage fright. And she did not do perfect. And they laughed. And that's when she realized, oh, I'm the stupid one. And by the way, this is something that I've just been working on, this idea. In our classrooms, there are roles that need to be filled. And they are filled by students. There's the smartest. There's the dumbest. There's the class clown. There's the popular kid. There's the kid that's bullied. There's the
nerd.
It's all
of it. Yeah.
There.
These are roles to play.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was thinking more of kindergarten, but yes, as they get older, there's the nerd, there's the kid with glasses and or whatever. And kids know this intrinsically. This is child abuse. Like, my heart breaks for kids, because for 10 years I told my daughter how clever she was. And she thought I was lying to her. Because she knew already that she was stupid. She went to school and she learned that. I mean, that was the one thing she learned in school. And she thought, well, it's my mom's job
to tell me this, because you're my
mom.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Because the lie had already taken root.
The lie took root. And finally, when she was like 16, she struggled with math. So when she hit 10th grade, I said to her, we're going to not do math this year. Here's an admonition for parents out there. Don't do it.
Yeah.
If it causes that much aggravation, stop. Take a breather. How important really is it that she knows trigonometry?
Right.
When she's 26, does she really, do I remember trigonometry? And I love math. So this was a hard thing for me to step back from. But I said to her, it's just not worth it. I don't think it's that important. If you want to do a lesson a week, just because, go right ahead. And I'm happy to help you. But I don't think that this is that important. You can make that call as a parent.
Yes.
You can decide this.
Yep.
Well, sure enough, she went back to it a few months later. She's like, I've decided I'm going to study with Khan Academy for a while and see if that triggers anything, if that works for me. Because I set her free. And so I've learned so much.
Well, you set her free to love learning.
Right.
I think we just burn it right out of our kids.
Right.
And homeschooling parents can do that.
They do. Because they went to school.
Yes. And I love your admonition, because it took me a really long time to learn this too. And I've been homeschooling for, feels like 100 years. And I say to audiences all the time, if I could go back 27 years ago and talk to Heidi St. John, I would have said, chill out.
Chill out. You've got
chill out.
18 years.
Yes. And your kids
for them to get remedial.
They've got different
They don't need
gifts.
to be the star pupil.
No, different gifts, different abilities. Not all of our kids are going to be mathematicians, right?
Right.
It's very possible that you're going to raise that child who really just needs to know how to balance the checkbook, understand how numbers work. They don't need to know letters and numbers and how they work together. They weren't going to go into the sciences. They were literally never going to use it. Or code solving.
Or if they are, trust me, they're going to do it without you. They'll get there.
They really will. One of my favorite stories ever that was told to me on the road was from my friend Elizabeth Smith. So she's Mike Smith's wife. Mike Smith, of course, and Mike Ferris founded the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. Elizabeth, just a few weeks ago, went home to be with the Lord. And I texted Mike and just, man, I loved her. I loved her. She was an extraordinary woman. And Elizabeth told me a long time ago when I was struggling with one of my kids, this is probably 15 years ago, I was telling her, I am really struggling with my kids in math and we're fighting over it.
Right.
Like it's gotten to the point now where there's tension between us. And every day when I say we're going to do this, it's the eye rolling and I don't enjoy it either because math is not my sweet spot. I don't enjoy it either, but boy, we're doing this thing. Come hell or high water.
Right.
If we're screaming at each other, we're doing it.
Right.
And Elizabeth goes, Heidi, you need to stop that.
Yes.
And here I revere this woman. She's the wife of Mike Smith.
Yes.
And so I'm like,
stop it.
You're right. Stop it. She said, never sacrifice your relationship with your child over an academic pursuit.
Right. It that was the big thing for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I love math. I really want her to have this because it's a wonderful, I love math. Just wasn't working.
Yeah.
And I was getting frustrated because I love it. Like she kept breaking it. She literally broke math. Like she broke it. And
See,
she knows I say that about
I feel that
her,
way
but...
about writing. I love writing. I love
who knew?
language.
I hated writing, okay? All through school, I hated writing. And they told me that I was a math and science person, and that's why I didn't like writing. And now I'm a writer.
Isn't that funny?
Because I understand that writing is actually even more beautiful, can be more beautiful than math. Like, it's crazy. There's so many lies.
God gave it to us. God gave it to us. Today's podcast is being sponsored in part by my friends at the Functional Medical Institute. You guys know I love Doctors Mark and Michelle Sherwood. They are internationally recognized pioneers in the field of functional medicine, biohacking, and longevity, and they have been helping thousands of people transform their health by breaking free from chronic illnesses to achieve vibrant health. I love these guys. Their approaches are really unique and revolutionary, and they're helping people reverse chronic common disease processes and delivering real, lasting health transformations where traditional medicine often falls short. They tackle root causes and integrate advanced therapies like peptides. This is something I was telling you guys about. When I got my tumor diagnosis, one of the very first things that they did was put me on peptides. And it is remarkable what these guys are doing with hormones, supplementation, and functional nutrition, as well as cutting-edge data, including DNA and other advanced testing. And you guys can access them right from the comfort of your own home online. And I hope that you will because they are producing unmatched, life-changing results. Check them out at homeschoolhealth.com and be sure to use the coupon code Heidi for 20% off whatever you order at the website. That's homeschoolhealth.com. Elizabeth's daughter, she said that when her daughter was 15, she finally decided, I don't want to fight with her anymore. And so she got a friend of hers to tutor her daughter in math. And so she went back and she said she had to go back to kind of like, ninth grade, sort of almost remedial, like to get you ready for algebra. She takes algebra. She doesn't enjoy it. In her junior year, she's taking algebra 1 again. So now we got basically 3 years of just trying to understand algebra. She hates it. And she finally, she does enough math to finish. She graduates from high school. She goes off to a community college, comes home to Elizabeth one day at lunch. And she says, Mom, I know what I want to do. Now, see, here's what Elizabeth's been doing. So instead of focusing on making sure her daughter had math, she focused on making sure her daughter knew how to hear the voice of the Holy Spirit in her life. Right. And that was the thing that mattered the most to Elizabeth. So her daughter comes home. She's like, Mom, I know what, right? Mom, I know what I want to do. What do you want to do? She says, I want to be a CPA. And her mom goes, honey, that's math. Like, that's math. Right. Like, that's math for the rest of your life. That's like an entire life of math.
That's a love affair with numbers.
100%. Well, now her daughter has something that she didn't have before. It's motivation. Like, she sees something she wants. That young woman went on to become one of the most successful CPAs in the state of Oregon. And Elizabeth's point to me, Elizabeth's point to me was, you start. Like, you light the fire under your children. Your job is to expose them to ideas. It's not to inculcate them into what you think they're supposed to be doing.
Do that now. Yeah.
Your job is to expose. She said, I exposed my daughter to math, and she became a public accountant. And as I listened to that story, it just gave me so much encouragement. And I want homeschool parents to realize this. Your job is to expose your kids to ideas. Your job is to start the thing. God's job is to finish it.
Your job is to help them form into hardworking adults.
Yes.
Who love to serve.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yes.
Like if you want to encapsulate it in one phrase, and there are lots of ways to get there, and one of them is not arguing with your children.
Yep.
One of them is not fighting over math.
Nope.
Or whatever it might
No,
be.
you have to, as the parent, I think, you have to be able to decide, are we having an attitude problem? Is this a respect issue, right? And so teaching our children.
Of course.
Right? I mean, I'm sorry you don't want to unload the dishwasher. That's what you're doing today, right?
That's
Sorry
the
you don't
job.
like that. That's
Right.
the job. We all are doing things we don't like to do. Right. And even more so as we get older. Like, why are we going
here's
for a
the
walk
thing.
today? Oh, so we don't die. Oh, I know why.
Right.
Right.
Here's the thing. There's a difference between an argument and a fight. Okay.
Right.
And so you can have a child that argues, but Mom, I unloaded the dishwasher yesterday. It's Susan's turn or whatever. And that's, maybe there's a respect issue. Maybe there's some kind of thing there. But the fight, why don't you understand this? It's so simple. A stupid person would understand this, right? That's destructive. And you have to avoid that. You must avoid that, especially name calling and things like that.
And if you do it, because there's a million people listening to this right now who have been like, "Ooh, I did that." Like I did that in a moment of anger. I've done it. Like
I used to yell at my kids.
Right.
It took me, luckily not that long for me to realize, oh wait, I have all the power in this situation. There's literally no reason for me to ever yell at an I hesitate, but inferior child. It's a child that is vulnerable, little, super capable of being damaged. And certainly I don't want that to why would I be the source of that damage? That's terrible.
Right.
You have to come to terms with the fact that you have the power. You simply need to figure out how to assert it gently and fervently, right? So my kids all wanted to quit piano. And the answer was no. It's literally that simple. No.
Yep.
And you must do your piano today. And oh, you didn't do your piano today? I remember. So my son, I was a bit of a like a homeschooler, like a tiger mom homeschooler. And my little boy might have been 5 or 6, maybe 7. Yeah, probably 7. And it was the opening of Tangled. Was it Tangled? Or one of the Little Mermaid or something. It was a big deal.
It's probably
And
Tangled.
we were invited to the premiere.
Ooh.
And he did not do his reading for the day. And I said, you didn't do your reading for the day. You can't go. And my husband was like, wait, what? What just happened? What?
This is the premiere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like punished him a different way.
Right.
And I'm like, no, actually, this is the best way for him to learn, sadly. Because I wanted to go.
Well, it turns out you just made a really good point.
But there was no
Sometimes
yelling.
it's the parents that don't want.
Right. But there was no yelling.
Yeah. You just said, we're not doing this.
It was the assertion of, I get to make that call. And as parents, you get to make that call. And you should make that call. And you're right. A lot of times the parents don't want to.
Well, we don't want the discomfort.
Right.
We don't want to miss out on the thing.
Well, never. So that was a lesson that I had to learn because Braden did something and then we couldn't go. And part of it was moms getting together.
Yeah.
And so I punished myself.
Yep.
And I learned, that was early on,
Yeah.
and I learned, oh, wait, okay,
Okay.
don't punish yourself
Right.
when you're trying to punish your child. He didn't realize it, luckily, so
Right.
he understood the punishment. But,
Right.
but yeah, you do have to draw the line there. There's no reason for you to punish yourself.
No, and I think, as you look back, because now you have what I call the gift of perspective, right? Now you can look back over, you're not in the middle of homeschooling your kids anymore. Now you get to look back and you can go, oh, hey, that was a little bit of a misstep. Or I wish I would have done this differently. Or, oh, hey, that didn't work.
Well, I mean, I learned so much over, and partly because I take the time to rethink it, rehash it, and figure out, oh, why did that go wrong? Why did this go right? And so, like, when I stopped doing math with my daughter, and it was like this freedom. I was like, wait, why am I doing, just because the school says, like, we have to question the schools. How do they know that that's the best thing? They don't. They're literally one size fits all.
Yeah.
And of course it clearly doesn't fit all.
Yeah.
Like, people, I'm very against school. Institutionalized learning, I'm very against it. However, it works for about 10% of the population.
It does. Yeah. Yep.
There is 10%. Like, oh, those are great odds.
Yeah,
is
those
your
are
child
great
1
odds.
in 10? Like he's going to be the class valedictorian,
Yeah.
like the kid who knows everything and loves everyone and gets along with everyone. And, no. Like odds are no. So.
Well, and we send our kids away, 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. 9 months out of every year.
16,000 hours.
Yes, we give the very best years of their lives to somebody else. And we send our kids to Rome, and then we wonder why they come back as Romans.
Right.
Right. And that's why. And we gave it away.
Incidentally, I'm going to Rome.
I know.
With my daughter.
I know. I remember you sent me the dates, and I was like, oh, wah, wah. Yes. I think going forward, I mean, education is at the forefront of the news right now, right? Because of President Trump dismantling the Department of Education. And of course, the left is screaming and yelling and crying. I said the other day, I said, I don't know, maybe it was on my Twitter account or something. Like, you think that they're screaming and yelling now? Wait until Trump dismantles the Department of Education, which is literally the golden calf for the left, because the education system in this country is how they got a stranglehold on our kids. It's how they got a stranglehold on the future. It's why Marxism has taken root in this country. It's why you see kids keying Teslas. It's yes. Education.
Yes.
And I keep saying,
schooling.
It's schooling. And I keep saying that we got 1,000 people hacking at the branches of this rotten tree that has taken root in this country for every 10 people that are hacking at the root. And the root is education.
Yeah.
If we can't get to the education of our children, then we're going to continue we'll be having these conversations in perpetuity for the rest of our lives. And eventually we will lose the country.
Right.
Because
this is what I've been saying.
That's what's happening.
Literally everything is education.
Yes.
Because education is your worldview.
Yes.
It's the way you see the world.
Yes.
And so you will perceive what you perceive from what you have inside you, what's been ingrained in you. And unfortunately, most people have been ingrained by the schools. And so it's very dangerous. I love the way that he set it up. First of all, he ran on it. So it didn't come as a huge surprise.
Well, everybody ran on it. Reagan ran on it. Bush ran on it. They were all going to do it.
And then they didn't.
You're right. And Trump's the only one who has followed through.
Which is why
I didn't think he would do it either. I got to be honest.
Right. But here's the thing. So he ran on it. And people didn't believe him. But okay, that gives me another reason. That's a good incentive.
Yeah.
He's never going to do it, but whatever. Then he came out and said, hey, look at the nation's report card. This is terrible.
It is terrible.
Right? So he set it up. He teed it up, and then he abolished it, which is very clever.
Which has to go through Congress still. So people need to understand. I mean, right now it's an executive order. And what Trump
it doesn't really do much.
It doesn't have teeth, because what he can do, and what Linda McMahon is doing, is they're laying people off that are just, all the DOE is a big bureaucratic nightmare.
It's a slush fund.
It's a slush fund, and it's our money. The slush fund that you and I are funding.
Yes.
And so he's breaking up the DOE as it should be. And he's rightly saying, well, the food program that the left is screaming about, like, what about the hungry children? Goes to the Department of Agriculture.
Right.
And the Pell Grants are going to the Treasury. I mean, he's dividing this up exactly how it should. And then you take all of these ancillary things away, and you're left with this bureaucratic machine that literally does nothing for our children.
Right.
Nothing.
It's
and
a
we've spent
clearinghouse.
Trillions of dollars.
They rubber stamp things.
Yes.
But the thing that we have to understand is it doesn't start and end at the Department of Education. That's just one of the ancillary issues surrounding the schools.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And so what people probably don't understand is when the school puts forward some kind of not grant, bond issue, right? And they raise $1 billion.
Yeah, bonds are for buildings. By the way, you guys, this is important terminology. Bonds are for buildings. Levies are for learning. So when you see a school district say, we want you to pass this bond, what they really want is you to green light a giant building, a new building project.
Right.
Half the time we don't even need it.
Right. Where a lot of people get government contracts.
100%.
Right.
So they don't need to bid them out. So so it takes competition right out, which is why people love government contracts, because you can milk the taxpayer.
But the people who love the government contracts are actually inventing the bond issues so that they can then get the contracts to build the thing that we don't need. Exactly. And so great education should be out of the hands of the federal government. But we have to understand that even though it is constitutional in various states, and probably all of them at this point, it shouldn't be. It is a conflict of interest.
Yep.
And if the founders saw the schools today, if the founders saw the schools of yesterday, they would roll over in their grave.
Yes.
They would despise them, because it is the exact opposite of what they had envisioned. What they envisioned with schooling, and they talk about it, is educating people on morality. Full stop. educating people on the Bible, full stop, because they held that the Bible was the word of truth and that the morality of the Bible was the only thing to save the nation. That's why I'm sure you're familiar with Adam's quote. This country was founded for a moral people, and nothing less than that
is wholly inadequate for any other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing now is training people to be immoral. We're training them to love money above everything else. The schools, I'm saying, right? It's the opposite. It is literally the destruction of our country. That's the problem that we have. And unfortunately, Christian schools, and some of them are quite good. Like they do educate.
Yes.
They educate academically, and they include the Bible, and that's great. They still are. They still struggle with the fact that the paradigm is a false paradigm. And so they turn out people who think that the teacher has all the knowledge, think that they need to turn to an expert.
You still separated the child from the parent.
And you still have destroyed the family to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to mitigate for all of that. It's an uphill battle.
Well, and you rightly pointed out, I mean, I think, and Mike Ferris and I were talking about this the other day, you can make a good case for Christian schooling. I mean, solid Christian schooling, but you can't make a good case for why we're separating children from their parents for 9-10 hours a day, 5 days a week, 9 months out of the year.
Right.
And
People
then wondering
think it's so
why
good for the children. And I'm like, it's not good for the children, and it's not good for the parents.
No, it is not. And to me, that's why people say to me, well, don't bash on the Christian schools. I'm not here to bash on the Christian school. I'm here to say, really look and see, what is it that you want? Like you and I were talking about the other day. What is it that you really want at the end of the day?
Right.
And what Jay and I decided we wanted was a very tight-knit family that loved to be together. We want to see our grandchildren grow up. We want to watch our children become parents.
Right.
That's what we wanted.
Schools will never beat homeschooling.
That's good. No, it's the gold standard.
Say whatever you want, but schools will never beat homeschooling. Yeah. So if you have the opportunity.
What do you say, Sam, to the mom who says, well, I can't homeschool, I'm a single mother?
Yeah, I've known single mothers who did it. One in particular, I talk about this gal all the time because she's like a hero to me. She was left with 2 little girls. Her husband up and left her, and she needed to support them. She worked full time. She absolutely refused to put them in school, and so she just did what she had to do. I don't know all the different stopgaps that she used. She might have imposed on her family. She might have found other options for some childcare. She was a bookkeeper, so she could travel with her job, like she could bring it home with her and stuff. And by the way, now with COVID, come on. Okay. But like I was talking to a young conservative woman who puts her daughter in this lovely Christian school. And I said, well, why don't you homeschool? And she said, oh, actually, my boss offered me if I wanted to homeschool, if I want to bring her to work with me. And I'm like, and you don't do that? No, I really like my Christian school. Yeah. That's selfishness. That's, I want me time. And I will tell you, I guarantee, if you want me time now, years from now, that is what you will have.
That's exactly right.
So,
wow.
But this woman not only raised her daughters, highly successful, one's in the mission in missionary work, and I can't remember what the other one does. And like at one point, she took a job in a store, so she worked in the back of the store, not storefront, but in the back, bookkeeping and stuff. And she took an apartment upstairs, just for the daytime. So they still lived where they lived, but she brought the girls with her. They stayed up in the apartment, and she would go up on breaks. Yep. Like, you get her done.
Here's the thing.
But hold on.
You're not making excuses for anybody, which is what needs to happen.
She did it all the way through, and then she went and adopted 2 girls and did it all over again.
Wow.
So that's why I say she's my hero.
Wow.
Because she didn't have means. Like people kind of go after me. Well, your husband's successsul. You don't need to work, blah, blah, blah. That's true. Okay. But I also chose not to work, and I could have worked. And so, don't think that because I didn't need money, that would have stopped me. There's a way to get it done.
Well, and
if you have to sacrifice something for your children, it will pay off in the long run. You just have to figure out what that sacrifice is.
We just decided that our children aren't worth it.
The culture, yeah.
Yeah, we just decided that our children aren't worth it.
They're not worth anything.
And when people ask me...
This culture hates children. Are you kidding me?
Right.
There's a war on children right now.
It's very true. You guys know how passionate I am to see parents discipling their children in the Bible. And while it doesn't have to be complicated, it does have to be intentional. That's why I'm excited to introduce you guys to the Illuminate Bible series from my friends at Lifestone Ministries. This is a Bible curriculum that's designed to grow with your child from first grade all the way through high school. So whether your child is just starting to read or asking deeper questions about faith and culture, Illuminate meets them right where they are and helps them build a lasting relationship with Jesus. Each week, you'll walk through a simple 5-step approach. You'll look at a Bible story, check out the context around it, see how it connects to the rest of Scripture, study the theology behind it, and find out what it means for real life. It's designed for families, so you don't need 5 different books for 5 different kids. You can go through it together using workbooks tailored to the ages of your kids. So if you've been looking for a way to disciple your kids without adding more stress to your day, this is it. For more information, visit lifestoneministries.com/Heidi to learn more about this amazing homeschooling tool. When people ask me, and I just did, Britt Mayer's show a few weeks ago, and we were talking about this very issue, and she was saying, what do you say to single mothers? And I said, I say this to you. I understand that you have a harder road. I think we can absolutely agree this is a harder road. But where there's a will, there's a way. If it's important to you, you'll figure out how to do it. If it's important to us, then we make sacrifice. For a long time, Jay and I raised 7 children on a pastor's salary, and I worked nights at the hospital so that I could stay home during the day with our kids.
So you didn't need childcare.
So I didn't need childcare, and that's why we did it.
I know a dad whose son was being failed by the schools, so they told him, we're going to hold your son back a year, and he was like, that's like the kiss of death. You can't do that. So he shifted his job to work nights so that he could homeschool his boy in the morning because his wife didn't want any part of it. You do what you have to do. I said, what happened to your relationship? He said, well, it was rocky at first, but it got really good. And then he put his kid back in school, which made me very sad, because he thought that they were getting educated.
Well, I think too, it goes back to what you and I were saying the other day. We love comfort in the United States. We love comfort, and we make all kinds of excuses to why we don't want to do the hard thing.
But it's falsely defined. That's a false comfort. It's not real comfort.
No, it isn't. And I think too, we have a standard of living in this country which is unmatched in many other parts of the world.
Wait, you want me to give up my second car so that my kid can stay home with me? Yes, that's exactly what I want you to do.
Yeah, and you're getting your kids' clothes from the thrift store, and you're maybe not doing the thing that you said that you wanted to do.
My daughter's a huge thrift shopper. Man, she is.
Well, you were just in my house. Almost all the furniture. My big dining room table came from Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, nice. Well done.
Thank you,
girl. It's a pretty table.
Thank you, girl. It has a little stain on it, but it's fine. I put a plant on it.
No the stain is what makes it special.
That's what I'm telling myself.
My first car had a ding.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, thank goodness. I won't be the first one to ding my car.
You're not going to be worried about dinging it because it already got dinged. I just think it has to do with what we value. And in our family, we valued time with our children. And so
but
that
the culture values material things.
That's right. And so what we're trying to do, what I hope, that Sam and I are communicating to you guys today is your kids are worth it. They're worth it. They're worth the sacrifices.
That's literally the title of my book.
Your kids are worth it.
Actually, the title is They're Your Kids.
Yes.
And when I sign the book for people, I write, they're worth it.
Yes. Your kids are worth it. We care more about sheltering tomato plants in this country than we do about sheltering children.
I love that quote from you. I've heard you say that.
We will throw our kids to the wolves so that we can have...
So they can be salt and light.
So they can be...
Did I touch a nerve?
Salt and light. I hate that argument.
Our children are ministering to the other children in the school. Not their job.
Nope. And as Ken Hannum is always saying, your children can't be salt until they have salt. Like you spend your entire, or at least we should be, spending our lives with our children, helping them to be salt. Right. We're giving them salt. This is what it looks like to be salt. By the way, I would
never send my child to be salt.
No.
Even as an adult.
Nope.
Not my job.
No.
Not their job, not my job.
No.
When they become adult and they understand the responsibilities of adulthood, then they become their own version of salt and light because they're on a mission for truth.
Man.
That's what you want.
Yeah, that's what you want.
And they've shown me the way there.
Yes.
They've really taught me so much.
You're doing the hard work on the front end. of just the first hardest decision, and I hear from people all the time who are making it, and it's encouraging to me. The first hardest decision is to decide what is the most important, and it's clarifying, right?
Oh, that's priorities.
Right. And so once you do that, I don't know if I ever told you this, Sam, but my husband for a long time was a worship pastor, and one of the churches that we served at was here in Vancouver, really big church,
right.
Giant church, and they had a school. And when Jay took the job, they told me free tuition. You can put your kids in this Christian school.
Oh, that was a tempt.
Really good Christian school. And for a minute, I was like, excellent.
Really good Christian school.
Really good. And excellent. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And then I remembered that I graduated from a Christian school. And I know
turned
that
out okay.
most of those kids are not walking with the Lord.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
my gosh! Don't even get me started.
So Jay and
People have this idea that Christian school is like if you slap a Christian stamp on it, that just the devil runs from that. No,
same with the colleges.
Are you kidding me?
It's the same with the colleges,
right? And so that's where we are today. But we're so easily misled. We're so easily fooled, and we are a nation of fools now.
Yes, we are.
For instance. Boy. Can we just talk? We'll just touch a little bit on school choice.
Yes, let's do it.
So, first of all, it's not like we don't already have school choice. You can choose where to send your kids to school. You can. But secondly, they've ushered in this idea that school choice means that the funds follow the child. No. The funds always come from the government. That's what you have to understand. And so when you switch it and understand the difference of perspective, that anywhere that those funds go then becomes a government entity. That should shed some light on where the Christian schools are. And if you send your child to a Christian school that takes the money from the ESAs and the government funding, your child is going to a government school. Good luck with that.
Yep. And they've already been compromised.
Oh yeah. Well, they were compromised before.
They've already been compromised. I will tell you that one of the hardest decisions that I ever made was not to put my child in, not to put our kids in that Christian school.
Of course.
Because to me, it was,
it's pretty. The teachers seem so nice. The kids seem so happy.
And I could have had a little more free time.
Yes, you get your time.
And maybe I could have, gone back to work.
You could have written 12 other books,
I could have written 12 other books. I could have done that. But I'll tell you what, when Jay and I prayed about it, because my initial reaction was, oh, good, excellent. Of course I'll do that. And then we started praying about
it. That's a perk.
It's a perk.
Yeah.
And by this time, we'd already been homeschooling for 5 years. And so I already had like a rhythm in my life. Yeah. And I realized I love being with my kids.
Right.
I don't want to give them to you for 9 hours a day.
Quick story.
I don't want to do that.
So my first book is They're Your Kids, an inspirational journey from self-doubter, which was me, to homeschool advocate. Right. So I homeschooled my kids. My oldest started in 3rd grade. The second one was 1st grade. And he was my math whiz. He's a mini-me. He finished 1st grade math on Halloween, went into 2nd grade math. By the time he was in
a month in 1st grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just, Mommy, I want to do 30 pages of math today.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, sweetheart.
There you go.
At it, right? So by 2nd grade, halfway through 2nd grade, he was in 4th grade math. But he couldn't read. He was just abysmal.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I thought 2nd graders should be reading at, but it wasn't where he was.
You weren't giving him Moby Dick.
So I took the reading lessons and brought them to Hawaii with us on vacation. And we did 2 lessons a day. So 1 lesson before we went to the beach and 1 lesson before dinner. And my husband was like, I can't believe this is happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was like, that poor kid. And so I taught him, I taught him as best I could. And he was still kind of abysmal. Like, it was just, wow, the kid's seriously math, but he's not a reading nerd.
Yeah.
And so about, I don't know, a month into the new semester, February, I enrolled them in a little private Christian hybrid.
Got it.
So I could still homeschool for 2 days a week, and then they'd go to school for 3 days a week, and I would do the homework that the school sent home and stuff like that. And I did, I lasted for 6 weeks. And over those 6 weeks, like, sometimes I couldn't download the homework. And their answer was, well, don't worry about it then. No, you're the expert. You know that I need this because you assigned it. Don't just tell me that it's not important.
Right. Or don't assign it.
Which, by the way, people out there who think that the hybrid is like the solution because you can homeschool a little bit and then the school takes care of the other stuff. That is a lie from the pit of hell, because what happens is none of the parents homeschool. And so the children are they're getting 3 days a week, which probably is adequate to teach them what they need to know. But the other part of that lie is they put the kids right on the treadmill. And so my son, who was advanced in math, by the way, I took him in and I said, so he's advanced in math, but his reading's really bad, but don't blame the messenger. Like, don't shoot the messenger.
Right, this is what's going on.
She's like, well, let me test him, the headmistress. And she came back and she said, so he's second grade, right? I said, yeah. She said, well, he is doing math at a fourth grade level. I'm like, yeah, I know. Right? She goes, but he's reading at a fifth grade level.
Woo!
And I go, so I'm the one with the problem? Literally. And she goes,
Sam's like, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
Yeah, kind of. And I left them there. I left them there, even though all evidence pointed to You're are doing fine. Better than adequate, right?
Yes.
And I left them there. And they put Shane on the math treadmill. Okay? And so 6 weeks later, and by the way, that was the hardest day of my life. Man, I drove away from that school and the tears were just, I could barely see.
Well, and you'd had a taste then already.
Yes.
I
loved my kids.
That's what happened.
But I wanted what was best for them. Like, and maybe this was best because I wasn't getting it done. But clearly I was, right? So it's the stupid thing. The only reason I thought I wasn't getting it done is because the school lied to me and said, you can't do this.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so 6 weeks in, I asked them, I said, are you guys happy in school or would you rather come home? Because by that point, it had sunk in that I'd done a pretty good job and I didn't really want them in there. And they were like, no, Mommy, we don't like it. And so I pulled them out. And then Monday morning, I put math down in front of Shane. And he goes, no, Mommy, I can't do this. It's too hard. They broke him. Like, they broke my baby.
Yeah.
Like, oh, man.
You've never heard that before.
Oh, I was so furious. And I'll tell you something. A week later.
How'd you come back from that?
I closed the book.
Yeah.
A week later, I opened the book, turned back 2 chapters, and said, let's try this. And he just did it.
Yeah.
There was nothing. It was a chimera. It was God teaching me. Okay? And I didn't realize this at the time. And it took somebody after a speaking engagement coming up to me, because I tell that story and I get emotional about it because they broke him. Like, the nice, the greatest part of him, which was the math that was like me in him. And somebody came up to me and said, isn't it beautiful that God allowed you to fail by putting your children back in school to teach you that you were enough? And so now I look on that and I go, oh, thank God, it was only 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And it was that hardship that I had to endure that hardship.
There's moms listening to this right now,
right,
Sam, who are, it's April. People are tired.
Yeah.
They're getting to the end of the homeschool year and there's a lot of moms who are like, I'm not good at this.
I can't do this anymore.
I can't do this anymore. The schools would be better for my kids.
Right.
And they're listening to you right now.
Yeah. And I'm telling them no.
Yeah.
No. Those are lies that the devil is putting into your head in order to get your children, because those people want to have sex with your children. I know it sounds really harsh, but there's too much evidence now for denial. They want it. And if it's not that person, it's that person. And it doesn't matter which one. They maybe not all of them, but enough of them are there. It's like I don't know what you're drinking, but if I told you there's just a tiny bit of poop in there, are you going to take another sip?
Heck no.
Right?
Yeah.
And these are your children, and you're accountable. I hate to put it that way, but you are.
Well, God will hold the parent responsible for what those children endure.
Yep.
Especially at the hands of, you and I are good friends with Karen England. She's been on my show, a whole bunch over the years. The schools are not safe places for children.
No.
They don't love your children.
No,
they're stealing the innocence from your children, and they're robbing you of the opportunity to be with your children.
Oh,
and
my
God
gosh.
gave your kids
Yes.
to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So back in the day when I was on the radio, I did 3 hours of talk radio every day. My husband used to say in his speaking engagements, you'd think she'd have nothing to say to me. She'd be wrong. So in Baltimore, 2 girls beat a girl to death in the bathroom over a boy. And within an hour, the superintendent of schools had come out and made a statement. And do you know what she said? Our schools are safe.
Yeah. Clearly.
which is clearly a lie. Not safe for that girl. And by the way, not safe for the bullies either, because that behavior is engendered. Okay. And I pity the bullies also. My heart breaks for them too, because now they have murder on their rap sheet. Like those people,
and in their soul.
I have compassion for them too. But that's manufactured in the schools. It's
Yeah. And I know, because I've been there, and when Mike Ferris was here, and I know you've been there too, because you just told us there, everybody, even if you're as a staunch advocate for homeschooling as I have been, and as you are, we all have moments when we doubt. We all have moments when we just think, I can't do this anymore. And I'm always telling moms, listen, if you've reached that point, if it's April and you've reached that point in your homeschooling and you're just like, I need to be done, then be done.
Yes.
Be done.
Yes.
Go. Stop.
Just
For
stop.
Right. In Jesus' name, we release you.
Take
right?
a break.
Take a break. That's one of the beautiful things about home education. But these moms, I don't think that when God gave us this assignment, Sam, he meant for homeschooling to run us over and leave us on the side of the road for dead.
That's why I call it home education.
Yes.
Stop schooling your children. Just educate them.
And education is life.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Go to the zoo.
And don't make them write a report about it.
No.
Just go to the zoo for the sake of doing it.
No,
I remember my kids were like, Mom, please, can we just go enjoy? Because I guess I was told later that I ruined every field trip. Because the kids were like,
oh, you know what? I kind of have that same reputation because it's all a learning experience.
Yeah. But sometimes you can just go and just learn and not have to write a report about it.
This is the fun, okay? We used to go to church together as a family. And when my kids were young, were a little bit older, I realized, wait, why am I sending my kids to kids' church? I don't believe in kids' church anymore.
Yeah.
There's no reason that they shouldn't be in church with their parents. And even toddlers can be trained, depending on what kind of toddler you have, certainly. But at a certain age, they can be trained, right? And so I made a deal with my kids that they could help in kids' church every other week. And every other week, they would be in church with me. And so those conversations on the way home from church trained my children to listen intently and analyze and give me feedback. Because I would say, well, what did you think about the message? And at least one of them would have a thought about the message. And then the other one would jump in and say, but he didn't say that. He said this or whatever. And my gosh, we can't watch a movie or do anything without having this dissection afterwards. But that's how you raise critical thinkers.
It is.
That's education. Okay. So don't think that you're doing trigonometry is necessarily education. There's so much more to it. And don't slack off on the other stuff, thinking that if you just check those academics boxes, you're getting it done, which ought to give you leeway to not check all the academics boxes. Not all of them are necessary. But if you give your children a love of learning,
exposure,
it's exposure, then later on in life, like your Elizabeth's daughter, they will decide what they need to know and they will teach themselves.
And they'll pursue it. And they'll pursue it. And then you will know that you gave them the tools that they needed to be able to pursue God's heart for them.
I was on the plane with a gal and she was like, but what if you don't know algebra? How can you teach algebra if you don't know it? And I'm like, you don't have to know algebra. All the lessons are in the book.
Right. You can learn with your child.
You can learn with your child, or you can just set your child up and find a tutor. Like, there's so many different ways.
Well, Sailor's doing that this year. Our 14-and-a-half-year-old daughter, and she's studying to become a pilot.
My girlfriend failed algebra twice.
Yep.
And the third time, because she thought she needed to teach it to her daughter, she learned it and she aced it.
Yes.
So
because
there's
the
a time for
motivation was
everything.
there. Yeah, there's a time for it. And we're making our kids swim through a cesspool to get a mediocre experience.
That's a great,
school,
okay, I'm stealing that.
Right?
That's a good one.
And that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And what we're telling parents is there's so much more life for your family. God has so much more for you. Take your children out of these schools and bring them home.
Yep.
Bring them home. They're your kids. Sam Sorbo, you're a national treasure. I love having you on the show. Every time we're like, do we need notes in advance? No, we don't. We never do. And actually, she is just like this at dinner. Like, if you think that we go out to dinner and we have these quiet conversations, oh no, Sam's going to question everything. I mean,
it's more fun that way.
It's way more fun, and you can have a pretty spirited discussion and come away and learn something. And every time around you, I learn something. And I know that that the men and women who are listening to this today have learned something. If people are interested in following you, where can they do it?
Well, they can follow me on Instagram. It's Sam_Sorbo. But go to sorbostudios.com for all the information, and you'll find everything there. The books are there. The movies are there. And all the socials are there and stuff. So you can get connected, and you can sign up for our newsletter also.
That's right.
We lead tours. So we've got a tour in Greece that's coming up. We've got a tour in Norway that's coming up. That's not ours. We're going with Brent Bozell and Media Research Center.
Okay.
But I'm promoting it because it's going to be a blast.
One?
That's end of August.
Okay.
30th through like the 7th of September, something like that.
Fun.
My husband's 100% Norwegian. So
of course he is. Hercules.
It'll be fun for him.
Hercules is Norwegian.
And I speak Swedish, so it'll be fun for me.
That's right. That's right. I forgot that you spoke Swedish.
Yeah,
That's
so we have a
amazing.
lot of things coming up. I'm organizing a trip for homeschoolers to Washington, D.C. to see our nation's capital, get some history and stuff.
This is an extraordinary country.
Yeah.
It's worth educating kids about. It's worth fighting for.
Yeah, it's worth exploring.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
I hope you guys have enjoyed this interview. I told you, she's a fire-breathing dragon. Don't get too close. You'll get singed. I know, because I'm feeling it right now. I hope you guys have enjoyed every second of this. I know that I have, and I hope you'll check out Sam. Follow her online. If you guys love this show, and I hope that you do, please leave a review for it. Leave us a 5-star review. Tell your friends about it, and visit our sponsors. I want to thank the prime sponsor of the Heidi St. John podcast, my friends, Dr. Mark and Dr. Michelle Sherwood at the Functional Medical Institute outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma. You guys can find out more about that fantastic clinic by going to homeschoolhealth.com. We love you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you back here again at the intersection of faith and culture. Parents of teens, listen up, because I have found an awesome Bible discipleship program that I think you're going to love. If you want your teens to own their faith instead of just regurgitating Bible facts, you need to know about RVL Discipleship, the curriculum. It's a powerful new curriculum that's been designed for homeschooled teens from our friends at Focus on the Family. Each lesson is taught by awesome Bible teacher Ray Vanderlyn. His semester-long course takes teens beyond fill-in-the-blank lessons to real-life application, helping them live out their faith with boldness and purpose. RVL curriculum is flexible, parent-friendly, and deeply engaging because it's been designed to spark real conversations about faith between you and your teens. Right now, you guys can get 2 free sample lessons at rvlcurriculum.com/HSJ, plus 10% off when you purchase the curriculum with code Heidi10. You guys, discipleship matters. Let's raise our kids to become lifelong disciples of Jesus. Go to rvlcurriculum.com/HSJ today.